India. I have a love-hate relationship with this country. I spent 60 days here and there were many times I was tested as a traveler and as a person. India has about 1.3 billion people, just second behind China for the most overpopulated country in the world. This country alone accounts for 18% of the world population. Being that it's overpopulated, the streets are crammed, chaotic, it's dirty, it's really just one big mess. On top of that, cows are everywhere. Through all this clutter, India is beautiful if you know where to look. If you don't, I got you covered. Visas are required before traveling in the country. You may apply online to obtain your visa, and it is one of the most comprehensive visa applications you could possibly apply for. It's several pages long, comprised of odd questions. The visa will set you back $50 more or less depending on the length of your stay. Once you've completed the application, it usually takes 1 to 7 business days to get approved. Now that you're in the country, there are a lot of ways to move around within the city and from city to city. I used a combination of trains, buses, and planes to move around in the country. Within the city, I highly recommend you download the Uber or Ola app. Ola is the Uber version in India. This is the cheapest and the most convenient way to get around in the city. There are several cities when this service is unavailable, so use a rickshaw instead. From one city to another, you may use a bus or a train. I've used buses a lot. Redbus is an online ticket platform for booking buses in India. Indian debit or credit are the only cards accepted, which obviously most foreigners don't have, so ask a local, ideally someone at your hostel or hotel, to pay by card and you can just pay them in cash after. It sounds stupid, I know, but hey, welcome to India. Because India is massive, there were times when I needed to take the plane because a 15-plus-hour bus ride just didn't sound ideal.
Just got to Mumbai, took the overnight sleeper bus. It's about 12 hours to get here. We left at 10 last night, and right now it's 10:30. Fairly tired. But that's what happens when you take the overnight sleeper bus.
Now that you know your options how to get around, let's talk about the things you can't miss in India. Let's kick it off with the Kerala backwaters in Alleppey. The scenic backwaters is comprised of lakes, canals, and lagoons. You can hire a private boat, or you could go on a public boat for a more cost-effective and environmentally friendly option. Keep in mind that regardless of the option that you pick, you will be on the same water taking the same scenic route. Next, you need to head up to Hampi. This is one of my favorite places here in India. Being here feels like being in a stone age, an ancient village in the south with numerous temple complexes from the Vijayanagar Empire. There's a couple of things to do here, so let's get to it. Up first is the Virupaksha Temple, a UNESCO heritage site of a 7th century Hindu temple. The next temple you need to see is Akhyutaraya Temple, a 16th century temple with detailed carvings. There are many temples in Hampi, so feel free to roam around as they are within walking distance from one another. But the two that I mentioned are the ones you can't miss. My favorite thing to do in Hampi is to go up to Matanga Hill. Fairly easy to get up here. You can catch the sunrise or the sunset, or both, offering spectacular views of Hampi and its rocky surroundings. Once you're done with Matanga Hill, the Monkey Temple is also another hotspot to catch the sunset. The climb is a bit longer than Matanga because it involves 600 steps, but the views at the top are so worth it. Next city you want to hit up is Hyderabad. The cities in India are completely different from one another, and Hyderabad is a good example. In this city, there is a huge presence of people from the Middle East. It's really unique being here as it doesn't feel like India at all. In Hyderabad, you need to see Charminar, an iconic mosque, and there's also Golconda Fort. You can take a stroll here and even go to the top to check out an amazing view of the city. Let's move along to the coast next, Goa. Known for its beaches and parties, this is a popular tourist destination for many. If you still want to be along the coast that is less crowded, check out Gokarna, which is located just below Goa. If you do end up in Gokarna, make sure you check out Murdeshwar Temple. It's 55 kilometers away from Gokarna, and it'll take you 2 hours to get there by the bus and a train. This is the second largest statue of Lord Shiva in the world, standing at 123 feet. The next thing you want to do is head up to Mumbai, the most populated city in India. Home to a famous 20th century monument, Gateway of India, it was built to celebrate the visit of King George V and the Queen Mary in 1911. After checking out the Gateway of India, you need to go to the back and take a boat to the Elephanta Caves. It will take you an hour and a half to get here. Consider it as an option if you have time in Mumbai. We'll continue heading up north. Next to Hampi, this is also one of my favorite places in India, the spiritual capital of India, Varanasi. a place that attracts many Hindu pilgrims to bathe in the holy water of the Ganges River. The water in the Ganges are very dirty, yet people bathe in it. Bodies that are cremated are dumped in the river. There are over 2,000 temples and 88 ghats here. This is probably the dirtiest place I've ever been to in India, yet it's the most serene and the most calming place to be. This is also a place that many would prefer to spend their last days before death than be cremated for the remains to be thrown in the Ganges River. There is a strong belief that souls are salvaged here. There are several things to do here, and the first thing you want to do is to walk along the Ganges. See the temples and check out a couple of ghats and just witness the unique lifestyle people have here. There are prayers happening constantly from morning till sundown, so be mindful of your actions. The next thing you must see here is to catch an arti, a ritual performed on one of the ghats. You can see it for sunrise or sunset. The best place to catch an arti is at Dashamawed Ghat. It's the best place to catch an arti because the stage is much bigger here and it's just much more decorative compared to the other ghats. It is a very blissful experience and one you cannot miss. Next up in Varanasi is to go on a boat ride during sunrise on the Ganges River. There's just something about waking up early to catch the sunrise. There are 88 ghats here, and one ghat you need to check out specifically is the Manikarnika Ghat. This is where the cremation ritual is performed. As we continue to make our way up north, we'll make a stop in Agra, one of the 7 wonders and one of the most famous landmarks in the world, the Taj Mahal. Your trip to India is not complete without seeing this beautiful white mausoleum. Being that it's a UNESCO site, you gotta come here first thing in the morning to beat the crowd. I mean, there's still a lot of people in the morning, but it's much more crowded in the afternoon. Next stop is Rajasthan, a state in the northwest, by the Pakistan border, home to palaces and forts for the many kingdoms that were established here in the past. Jaipur is the capital of the state, also known as the Pink City. There are several forts here, but be sure to check out Amber and Jaigarh Fort. Nahargarh Fort is also a good place to check out, especially if you're trying to catch the sunset. Another sight to see is Hawa Mahal, a 5-story palace with 953 small windows to allow breeze, hence the nickname the Palace of Winds. Once you're done with the palaces and forts, it's time to see Galtaji, a temple 10 kilometers away from Jaipur. Here you will find a lot of monkeys and several temples surrounded by hills. Moving on to the next city in the state of Rajasthan is Jaisalmer, also known as the Golden City for its yellow sandstone architecture. Here you will find Gadisar Lake, Jaisalmer Fort, and the tourist favorite, staying overnight at the desert. You will hop on the camels to venture out in the desert to catch the sunset, spend the night, and catch the sunrise the next morning. Other notable cities worth visiting in the state of Rajasthan are Udaipur and Jodhpur. We'll move closer to the Himalayas to a city called Rishikesh. Here runs the Ganges River. Unlike the dirty waters in Varanasi, the water here is much cleaner, making it much safer to take a plunge in the water. Let's continue moving up. Next is Dharamshala, home to the Dalai Lama and to many people from Tibet. While you're here, whether you're an avid hiker or not, you must do the Trian hike. It's about 2,850 meters high, and depending on your fitness level, it can take between 3 to 4 hours to get to the top. During your hike, be sure to bring enough water and bring layers to keep you warm, as it can get very cold at the top. Other notable places to visit that I didn't get a chance to see are Bangalore, Mysuru, Punjab, and the Kashmir area. Aside from the sights and activities, another great thing that you must try in India is the local food. The variety of food in India offered from north to south are completely different. There's so much variety and they are very delicious. Cows are believed to be sacred in India, so the majority of the dishes are predominantly vegetarian. Here are a couple more things you should know about India. India is a dirty country. There's garbage everywhere. You always have to look down to avoid stepping on cow shit. Okay, I may be exaggerating, but you really have to watch where you're going. People do their business anywhere on the street. The sanitary conditions are terrible. Alcohol is frowned upon here. Liquor is actually heavily taxed by the government. If you're going to be taking the buses and the trains like me, you have to know that it will wear you out. Having 10 to 15 hour bus rides are not fun, especially after 2 months. India is a massive country, it starts to wear you out real quick. But if you find yourself getting worn out, consider spending more on a flight to get a break from the long bus rides. You need to get a SIM card as they will come in handy when you're getting around the country. The phone plans start at 1.5 GB per day for a month for under $5. Another thing about India is that the locals will stare at you. They won't even try to hide it, nor will it be quick. Indians also love their selfies. If you're a foreigner, they will ask you a lot for selfies. Sometimes they don't even ask you and they just take a snap without your permission. This can get overwhelming, especially if you're a female. It got way too much even for me, so I decided to have fun with it and started photobombing people, and I started charging for selfies. Sorry? Selfie? 100 rupees. Selfie? 100 rupees.
100 rupees?
Yeah, 100 rupees. 50 rupees for him. If you're a tourist, they're gonna ask you for selfies.
Yeah.
And we figured, since we get asked a lot, we'll ask for money.
Yeah.
And how much did you get paid?
100 rupees.
100 rupees. That's about $2 Canadian.
Yes, it is.
Budget traveling.
Yeah.
If you're traveling here in India, my number one tip, because they love their selfies, is to ask or charge for the selfies. As much as they love their selfies, India is very strict with photography in the majority of the sites in the country. You will see signs of no photography or signs stating that photography will be charged as an extra. My tip is to keep your camera in your bag when you're entering a site, then take it out once you're inside. The other thing you should know is that there's no queue in India. Whether you're lining up at the store, at a restaurant, at a bank, if there's space, people will cut in front of you, so you have to be aggressive when it comes to this. The one question I get asked the most is if it's safe to travel in India, especially for females. In India, the majority of the streets are dominated by males. There's a surplus of males in the country. Imagine if you're a Western female walking down the street for a quick second. Not saying that anything can potentially happen to you, but you will get stared at or maybe approached, or worse, get touched. Men masturbating in public and rape is common in India. It's a sad and sensitive topic, but these are real issues that needs to be addressed. As a solo traveler, I guess being a man have its advantages traveling in India, but safety should be a priority for everyone, whether you're a male or a female. And you should always be on top of your travel game. Just remember that this is not your country, it's India. If you're a female, you just need to be more aware, and if you feel uncomfortable at any point during any interaction, you can always say no or just walk away as early as possible. If you meet other travelers on the road and you get along, travel with them for several days if they happen to be going the same route as you, as it makes things easier by being in a group when out in public. And that concludes my tips for India. I hope you found this travel guide useful, and if you have any questions or feedback, I would love to hear from you, so do leave your comments down below and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.